There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
So attention cricket clubs and cricketing family, are you ready to step up to the crease and make a long-lasting impact on your club's legacy? Listen up, we've got something special for you. Introducing Fund It Now, the revolutionary fundraising platform that's changing the game for cricket clubs everywhere. With Fund It Now, clubs of all sizes can create a lasting legacy by selling personalised plaques to their passionate members, supporters and cricket club family.
That's right, Livo. Fund It Now has already left its mark on some of cricket's most iconic venues like Lords, the home of cricket, Somerset County Cricket Club, and with projects such as the Father Time Wall and Somerset Legends Wall.
There's the best part, Hugh. There are absolutely no upfront costs. Fundraising has never been more simple or accessible.
Imagine walking around your club's ground or up to the pavilion and seeing a bespoke wall of dedication, celebrating the history of your club and supporting its future with every plaque. It's like your club's very own shrine to the sport we all love.
And getting involved couldn't be easier. Simply visit Fund It Now's website at funditnow.co.uk to get started today, or drop them an email at info@funditnow.co.uk to learn more. It's time to rally your supporters and start raising money like never before. And don't forget to tell them you heard it from us at the Premier League Cricket Show.
So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of clubs and grounds like Somerset County Cricket Club and Lords and make your mark on cricket history.
Visit Fund It Now today and start building your fundraising platform. That's funditnow.co.uk. Fund It Now, where passion meets purpose at your cricket club, and begin creating your own legacy. So welcome everyone to Premier League Cricket Show. Once again, another match week recording, looking back at, I think it's fair to say, warning, weather watch time, an interesting weekend around the country. There seems to be a band somewhere south of Stoke where, let's be honest, we were all right and we got the game on. But anywhere northwest of Stoke, sorry North Wales, sorry Liverpool and District, sorry Lancashire, sorry Greater Manchester. It was a bit weird, wasn't it, Hugh?
Yeah, well, I was chatting with a rather grumpy umpire yesterday at High Lane Cricket Club for one of my lads' games, and he'd been doing a Lancs game that had got a bit heated in the debating over Duckworth Lewis and getting on and getting off. Yeah, so he was he'd had a challenging afternoon debating weather conditions, I think, in the Lancashire League. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I think for most of us, we didn't even look at the weather forecast, just assumed it was going to be spot on, and that sort of northwest tip just caught enough to wreck a few games of cricket.
Absolutely. I was busy watching through play cricket once again over the weekend, and just all of a sudden started seeing the word abandoned. You're like, hang on a minute, looking outside my own window going, what's cracking off here? But we've got a guest this week who, I'm going to be cruel to him now, he probably wishes 1 or 2 games had been abandoned himself this season. Joining us today is a good friend of mine, and not only the captain of Long Sutton Cricket Club in Lincolnshire, but also the founder, creator and top man when it comes to runs for research. It's Mr. Jake Burton. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, very well, Livo. Yourself? nice to be invited on by you and Hugh.
Absolutely. And we've said from week one we were going to get you on when time was appropriate, and we're halfway through the season. It doesn't seem 2 minutes since I met you over at Lindham, first game of the season, when you were one of the very few leagues to actually get going on day one. 11 games on, it's fair to say you guys at Long Sutton are having a tough old time.
Yeah, so we're 11 games into the season now. We've had 2 abandoned through rain and 9 defeats, unfortunately. But with the second half of the season about to kick off, hopefully some results will start to go our way. Yeah,
and I think what's interesting in the Lincolnshire League for me, though, is you're still only a couple of games behind safety when it comes to whether you're going to get relegated or not. It's not like you're so far behind, are you?
Well, no, I think, and discussing with the fixture secretary and friend of the podcast, Mark Evans, we were kind of given what we felt were our 2 kind of closest rivals at the start of the season as our 10th and 11th fixtures. So kind of we were sitting quite a way behind others, hoping that by the time we got to these last 2 weeks that a couple of wins would put us back kind of amongst the pack, because the fixture scheduling kind of hadn't really gone our way to a certain extent.
Yeah, definitely. And can we just point out, that is Mark, whose pick for the season are just above you in 11th place. Am I right in saying so?
Yeah, that's correct. We had a conversation about that on Saturday when he umpired us.
I am sorry to bring that up, Mr. Evans, that you picked Grimsby Town as a team to watch in the Lincolnshire League, and they're currently in 11th place, just 10 points ahead of bottom. But then it does show that the fixture secretary was very fair, clearly. Absolutely. I think to Mark's defence, and I won't go into too much details, but I think he was given a bit of false information before making that selection. Right. Hey, got to ask a question about Mark. He was umpire of the year last year in the Lincolnshire League. Did he do you any favours or not at the weekend? So I told him after the game that I've only had 1 LBW in the Lincolnshire Premier League so far this year, and he gave it on Saturday, so I'm not going to complain too much. And considering you got your first sixfer in Premier League cricket, you're not going to complain about that, are you, Jake? No, definitely not. Definitely.
So just on the season, Jake, I mean, there's obviously teams moving up into the Premier League every season, and the vast majority of teams find it very, very difficult. If you were sort of looking back at yourself, in March, January, whatever, what would you sort of tell yourself about this? What have you learned in this first sort of 11 games, that maybe would help you if you sort of did the experience again? I think it's a tough question. I think we backed ourselves having quite comfortably won the feeder league last year. But I think from kind of talking to other people that have seen us, they kind of just felt that we've not really done ourselves justice. Mm-hmm. Kind of with our on the field performances, we've learned that 50 overs is a long time to bat, as opposed to the 45 overs last year. We had a few instances last year where we'd blow a team away with a big score in kind of 35, 40 overs, not bat our overs, and then we'd get done, either by a team getting close to us or kind of even getting over the line. Whereas this year, we've kind of learned that we've just got to value our wicket. And early season, I think we didn't tend to do that. As much as the standard is much higher, the bowlers are much better, they still are going to bowl you a bad ball every now and again. But if you're not at the crease ready for that bad ball, then you can't score off it. Absolutely. So in terms of, strengthening the team, did you do much in the winter to strengthen that, or have you just gone with purely the team from last year? We made a couple of signings and had an overseas initially planned, some back office issues with that, but then we managed to bring in another overseas a lad from South Africa, a young lad from South Africa that supplied himself really well. But on the whole, we did try to keep a lot of the side that won the league the year before together, because kind of that was the decision we made in September, probably a little bit naively in some people's eyes, to think that we maybe would be good enough to stay in the league. But we thought that the people that had earned the right to be there deserved to have a go at least. Yeah, and that's young South African, is it Deviko Kruger? That's him, yep. Yeah, I mean, he's I've looked up, he's an 18-year-old by the looks of it, really looks like a really promising young cricketer, but obviously that lack of experience for a team coming up, maybe hurting a little bit. Yeah, as I say, he turned 19 just before the start of the season. And again, he will admit that he's probably not scored consistently the runs that he would like. He's got some good deliveries. So he had one big knock against Market Deacon with a 98, and a couple of other kind of starts that he would have felt he
he should have gone on and got a few more. But kind of the atmosphere that he's bringing around the club, and then offering some handy overs with the ball as well.
Yeah, 2 wickets at the weekend to go with a few things. So yeah, I think it's difficult enough. We see it for overseas coming in. Seriously experienced overseas find it tricky coming in, change of conditions, particularly Southern Hemisphere, guys like South Africans and Australians with the massive shift in the style of pitches, and particularly this season. So it's, he's not the only overseas to struggle early doors. So hopefully he can really bed in and crack on for you for the second half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously the thing that we have that other clubs or potentially have that we don't, I should say, is we're not paying the overseas to play. We're just paying for him to get over here. We're a village club without the backing of some others. So therefore, kind of that doesn't mean we can't find a quality player, but it means that maybe the pool of players that we're going at is very different to other clubs in our league, even in our league.
Absolutely.
Hey, let's take an opportunity right now to jump into the Links League and the results of the weekend, Hugh, and see what's cracking off. And you talk about finding a player. I'm going to pick a player out right at the very beginning when we look at the Lincolnshire League. And just to give people heads up, Lindham, last year's champions. They are actually still top of the league in Lincolnshire, closely followed by Grantham. We'll come to Grantham in a second and their result of the weekend. Sleaford, who came second last year mid-table, and poor Long Sutton, as we've said already, are bottom, having come up. But the guy I'm going to jump onto straight away, you talk about finding talent. Market Deepin at the weekend scored 278, with George Wood scoring 111 off 137 balls. He's a 16-year-old batter in the Premier League. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for Market Deepin to win because Sleaford beat them. But tell us about George Woods, Jake. He's some player by the looks of things.
Yeah, so George played for Newborough, who are one of the better sides in the feeder league, and we came across him maybe 2, maybe even 3 seasons ago. So again, very, very, very young, and immediately showed a lot of talent. And then I think before the 2023 season, a good friend of mine, Jimmy Hook, who's the captain at Market Deepin, kind of got him to go across. And we've kind of had various conversations about him whenever I've caught up with him. Just as a kind of a passing interest, really. And he said that the lad's got a lot of talent. He just needed to get that one knock at that Premier League level to kind of give himself some confidence to go on and be able to perform consistently. And this looks to be that knock.
Well, Jimmy was in touch with us to make sure that we were well aware that his second 50 in that knock came off 26 balls as well. That's some going at any level Premier League for a 16-year-old. And it is actually all available on Play Cricket on MV Play. You can look at all the highlights of that if you want to see a 16-year-old battering the ball left, right and centre around the park.
He said his dad's been involved at Newborough for a number of years. I've played against both of them in the team for say, I would imagine it was 2 or 3 seasons ago that I first came across him, really. And again, really nice lad, and the family's really nice, and they just took the opportunity for him to kind of have a go at that next level.
Yeah, it's brilliant when the young lads step up. I've picked him up here in his previous card here, and he's Huntingdonshire and Cricket East, so he's not sort of representing one of the big boys, which is quite nice to see somebody jump in. There's not many players hitting Premier League hundreds at 16. And particularly quick ones like that. So that's a really terrific performance, and it's something that maybe will set a few people talking in the sort of Notts/Links/ even Derbyshire and Norfolk circles with somebody performing like that.
Well, Derbyshire could do with some batters after yesterday, couldn't he?
I think his previous club at Newborough is kind of right on the border of Lincolnshire and Cambridgeshire, so that's kind of probably one of the reasons why he's not gone in the direction of kind of representing one of those at county level. And obviously, Hunt's Cricket East is kind of the equivalent for teams in kind of that middle area. So I suspect that's the direction that he's gone to. But again, I think it's really good for George to have got that kind of knock under his belt.
Another lad that's jumped out, a bit older, but we've got Hidir, who's I think he's 5th in the country in Premier League runs. He sort of really caught the eye early season for me at Grantham. And then he's absolutely flying. He's not been able, I don't think he's been able to secure a Notts contract, but it's one of those head scratches when you've got a lad who's performing to such a high level consistently, week in, week out. He's not putting up the massive scores, but every week he seems to be getting 90s, 70s, 50s, 60s. So, yeah, do you know much about him?
It's funny you mention it because we played Grantham, I don't know, probably a month, 6 weeks ago. And obviously Grantham are a very, very strong side. And I'm sure we'll come on to them. But kind of you take the batters, and the guy come out at number 3. They put on plenty for the first wicket. And the guy was very scratchy and kind of didn't really offer a huge amount. And then I looked at the scorecard afterwards and I thought, oh, that's who it is. Obviously, I think he was representing Links maybe the day after, and that's not a reflection on him. It just on the face of it, he maybe didn't have the greatest game against us. They put 300 plus up, so it didn't exactly matter. But very much a case of kind of sometimes, it depends what day you get them on. Yeah.
But he's certainly been performing with the bat. And looking at his scorecard from the weekend, he got 86 off, apparently, and I need to check this one, 23 balls. You do need to check that one, because even by any standards...
That was a ball, wasn't it?
It was. 86 off 23.
That as much as ball is not small ground. Ball is not small ground, but it's normally a very flat pitch.
Yeah, I don't think that's right. Looking at that's amongst the fastest 86s in the history of cricket, if that is the case. So I suspect it's wrong. But anyway, 86, regardless. Looking down the rest of the scorecard, there's a bit of a mess. So I suspect we may have a play cricket issue there.
Yeah, they definitely didn't have a play cricket issue at Bourne itself, though, because it was the highest run scoring game in the country at the weekend with 643 runs. And it was the highest run chase in the weekend as well, with Bourne batting first, scoring 320, and Grantham chasing down 323. Some game up there, and it just shows, from one side of the country to the other, the difference in getting the game on compared to there made all the difference. So let's quickly go through the other results in the Links League at the weekend, Hugh. Bourne, as I said, we've done Bourne, Grantham, we've had a look at Market Deeping. The league leaders, Lindham, just rolling people.
Yes, Lindham, so bowled out Grimsby for 92 and got it 1 down right there with 53 off 38 balls. So, it's a pretty straightforward win for them. It was a looking across all the Premier League as a whole, there was a lot of lopsided games, a few less in Links League, but it was a bit of a funny weekend. But a good game, Long Sutton, Spalding there obviously we were involved with there. That was a great game of cricket with yourself there, Jake, 6 for 46, doing exceptionally well. And Udan Hansana, 51, Barnaby Dring for Spalding, 44, and Nil Anther Atapatu, 4 for 4, which is rather painful to be on the wrong end of. Market Deeping, Sleaford, another pretty decent game. Sleaford got it, another high scoring one. Sleaford got 279, Market Deeping with 278 for 7. There's the George Woods score, 111. And then Daniel Smith, 78 off 52 for Sleaford. Netlham, Woodall Spa put up 218, and whether they chasing? Yes, a 218 chasing. So just close finish there. So
very close.
Netlham just doing enough to bowl Woodall Spa out. Away Zafar, 52, 53, and then Woodall Spa, which had a very deep scorecard. Nobody really troubling the 50s, but lots of people chipping in with 10s and 20s.
Yeah, you don't get to 218 very often with 29 being the highest score.
Yeah, it's funny one, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah, and then Scunthorpe, Bracebridge Heath. Scunthorpe 207 in their 50 overs. And Bracebridge Heath 207 in their 50 overs, and Scunthorpe knocked it off 3 down. Branshaw Candaru, 77 off 78 for Scunthorpe, and also 3 for 33. So certainly doing the job for them.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
It was an interesting weekend over in Lincolnshire, as you say, some lopsided scores. We're going to see that elsewhere. But joining us also now, once again, I had to text him on Saturday night to ask what the hell was going on at his place. because there was a very strange thing looking on Play Cricket. But so joining us once again from CricX is Matt Taff. How are you doing, mate?
Very well, yourself?
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one on Play Cricket at your place, wasn't it? What did it say?
Played boots all day, batted just until the rain came for 230. And we just sat in the changing rooms until we shook hands.
And it didn't say abandoned for a long time on Play Cricket, did it?
No, I don't know what's gone on there, but yeah, they batted far too long to even try and make a game of it. So enjoyed fielding in the rain and then watched it rain. So great day out.
At what age does changing room cricket stop? You know, I've never quite figured out what age is it still acceptable to be playing changing room cricket? You know, are we talking mid-20s? Are we, into our 30s?
Yeah, there was a bit going on. Boot will have quite good change rooms. They're fairly big, so you can change room cricket was going, football was going, and then when you're in the change room for a few hours watching it rain, it gets a bit weird. So it was all good.
Absolutely. You didn't get a game finished this week, but we've got to bring it up before we talk about your cricket stable. Slight disappointment at your place, but also complete celebration for the news that we got late Friday, Saturday morning about your colleague Zach Folkes joining Warwickshire.
Yeah, so amazing news for Zach. Great opportunity to get himself out there on the first class circuit over here. Left us in a bit of a tricky situation, but no, would never stop him with an opportunity like that. So fingers crossed he takes it with both hands, and we enjoy watching him on Sky Sports this week.
Now I've got to ask, have Warwickshire got to play Lancashire yet? Because that could be quite interesting.
No, they don't. First thing I looked at, it'd be quite funny with Crofty against Zach. So, but no, they've played each other there. So I think it's just Yorkshire, Worcester, and Notts. They're playing across the six. So be interesting to see how it goes.
Absolutely. Hey, let's get stuck into the cricket stable and what's gone on at the weekend. I'm sure your games are a bit sort of all over the place weather-wise in the up north. But let's have a look at the batters, shall we first, Matt?
Yeah, definitely. So there's still plenty of runs scored from our lot, but leading the way is Imesh Yudanga. He's gone 163 for Linfield off 136. Shane Mosley, West Indian for Atherton. He's had a great weekend. He's gone 116 not out on the Saturday and then 99 not out on the Sunday. So one run shy of a perfect weekend there for Shane, but I'm sure he'd have took that at the start of the week. So Apurv Wankhede, 121 for Dulwich. Avishka Tharindu, 119 not out for Bracebridge Heath. Will Hale down at Camberley, 118. He's in a fine bit of form is Will. Australian Ryan Perris for Watford Town. He's got 111. Matt Boyle, the New Zealander for Three Bridges. He's continued his form, 106 not out. And then on Sunday against Buxted Park in the T20, he's gone 83 not out of 32 balls. So I don't think that was a play cricket error there. He hits it clean.
Matt Boyle does enjoy hitting a ball in T10 as well, as we well know.
Yeah. So, and then wrapping us up with 100 not out for Wemden is Lohan D. Yoza.
Brilliant. Hey, Hugh, what can we do to beat that?
Well, we've got a few, but it was a few down on the hundreds this week. Got 39 hundreds across the Premier Leagues. Top score of 150 is Ben Williams at Teddington against Stanmore in the Middlesex League, 150 off 156 balls for him. And Alex Risk, Cropston versus Barrow in the Leicestershire and Rutland League, 148 not out for him. He's second. Oliver Hallion, 144 off 164 for Barnard's Green against Moseley in the Birmingham Prem. And then Liam Wiles for Cawthorne in the Yorkshire Cricket Southern Premier League, 134 for him. And Luke Robinson rounds out the top five, 131 off 97 for Nantwich against Toft in the Cheshire League. That's the top five. Couple of other notable mentions. A certain D. Stevens is at it again. He just can't hold the man down, 121 off 97. He's just, I've said it before, he's playing a different game to everyone else. I think he's been playing a different game to everyone else for the last 20 years, but it just comes so easy to him. He just walks up and bashes 100. He just finds it. It's too easy. It's not fair. Whatever he's doing, I think he needs to, whether it's pure natural talent or whether he's coached, it'd be
share it amongst one or two others.
I don't know. He needs to do, like in the 80s and 90s, to do those videos, those VHS videos of like Bob Woolmer's coaching tips. I think we need the Steve-O's coaching tips for bowling and batting and fielding and just looking after yourself, do you know?
And he hasn't actually been picked up to do any of this sort of stuff by the media boys, really, has he?
Just the fact that he's still doing it, still fit, still healthy, still flying away. Absolutely remarkable. So, and then the other notable mention, Taylor Cornell, who's absolute fantastic player in a really interesting game, a tied match. He's got 120 off 123, and then he was run out off the last ball, which would have won the match. So a tie game there, Methley versus Farsley in the Bradford League. So that's a really, really terrific game of cricket, and probably the best game of cricket across the country at the weekend. So to score 120 of 240 and to be run out off the last ball, fantastic for him.
Absolutely. And I'm going to indulge, which I don't do very often, on another player that I saw play on Friday. So friend of the pod and one of the guys we did a special with a few weeks ago now, young prospect, Mr. Noah Kelly from Driffield, who's having a great season again. And bear in mind, this is a young lad who's had to do his A-levels this year and go through all of that sort of stuff. We had the privilege of popping up to Duffield and watching Derbyshire 2s play Yorkshire 2s for where Noah was playing against. And God, did Yorkshire 2s with a very young side give Derbyshire a right old fright. Derbyshire had scored 199 and then Yorkshire scored 184 off their 20 overs, led by Noah's 57 off 35 balls. And if you'd spoke to Noah, as we did earlier this season, he is a red ball player who's been working on his white ball game. He showed it when he hit Samit Patel for 2 sixes in 1 over with absolute pure indulgence. A name to watch out for is all we'll say. Keep an eye out for Noah Kelly. And he scored another 40 odd at the weekend as well. Just keeps going time and time again, doesn't he?
He's so consistent. He's just, and now he's actually finished. He's held back from, playing too much cricket while his A-levels have been on. He's turned down a few games of cricket, but now I think we'll be able to see what happens through the rest of the summer. But yeah, terrific performance.
Absolutely. And with my Radio 5 link hat on, he's also going down to Australia on the back of working with CricX to go and play down in Melbourne for the winter, isn't he, Matt?
Yeah, we placed him last week. He's playing in the Cricket Southern Bayside competition east of Melbourne for Balmoral. So that is Ian Cobain Jr.'s previous club. So big shoes to fill, but he just
massive shoes.
No, so I'm confident he'll have a good season down under.
That was the club that Ian Cobain got launched out of to go and play for the Adelaide Strikers, I believe, as well, didn't he? So it's a nice link there for Noah. So you might be able to leapfrog from that. It's also a really nice spot down there. Fancy a bit of that.
Absolutely. Hey, Jake, got to ask you while you're on the line there, obviously. Ever fancied that winter in Australia yourself?
It's crossed my mind a few times, but I think I've got a close-knit group of friends and family that I'm not sure I would be too keen to disappear from for 6 months, to be completely honest.
Taken with you,
even to play cricket.
Yeah, no, I'm getting towards the older end of my cricketing career. not to 6 months anyway.
We've got someone here we're talking to who's got 700 wickets on play cricket, 655 of them down at Long Sutton. So yeah, you've got to be of a certain age to have that many wickets these days, haven't you, Jake?
Yeah, absolutely.
Depends how many play cricket errors there were in the making of that thing. So
I think my actual number is about 900. So
there we go.
Oh, here we go. Let's get round to the real bowling figures. Matt Taff, CricX stable. What were they up to?
Yeah, so Great Harwood, Stick Schiller de Silva, left arm spinner. He's led the way with 7 for 24. 10 wickets in the weekend for South African Malusi Siboto. Beckenham, he's gone 5 for 40 on the Saturday, and then a T20 5 for 12 on the Sunday. Fraser Sheet 5 for 26 for Reigate Priory against Ashstead, and then Avinash Yadav, familiar name for me as well. He was our pro from last year. He's gone 5 for 40 for Wigan against Rainhill, and then rounding us off is Callum Taylor for West Herts. He's gone 5 for 49.
Very southern-based numbers because of what was going on weather-wise up north. Hugh, what we got in the bowlers nationally otherwise?
Well, certain S. Patel at the top of the tree there with Cutthorpe. So Samit's knocked over Sandy Acre, who I think were third in the league, and Cutthorpe towards the bottom with 8 for 22. He's actually
obviously bowled better Saturday than he did on Friday.
Yes, yeah. Well, he just got warmed up Friday, didn't he? I mean, to be fair to Samit, I don't think he possibly should be playing for Cutthorpe. He should probably give it a go in the 4-day comp for Derbyshire, the state of Derbyshire's 4-day ambitions this year. But anyway, yeah, Cutthorpe knocked over Sandy Acre, and with his 8 for 22, he's not really fired, as you'd expect for Cutthorpe this season. He's certainly chipped in. He had an 87 not out the other week, which was his first meaningful score of the season, and he's had a few 30s and 40s. But bowling wise, he's chipped in as well, 3 wickets, 2 wickets, all pretty economical. But yeah, this was the first time he's really blown the opposition away. There's quite a lot of videos. It's worth a look actually. I think looked like a turn-in track. And it just, lots of caught at slip, leading edges, things like that. So the ball was obviously started to turn. The wicket looked pretty dry. So, well done him, top of the tree. But we've got another 8-fer as well. Navidayam Devendi, 8 for 83. Buckhurst Hill against Loughton in the Essex League. I think he's been playing Essex 2s, so he looks one to watch out for there. And then Mo Sadak, 7 for 18, West Taunton versus Egerton. Ben Foley at Oral was versus Saul in the Derbyshire League. 7 for 39, Andrew Brewster at Teddington with 6 for 42 rounds out the top 5.
But where is Mr. Jake Burton in that top 10? I think is he 8th?
Not far down. He's 8th. There you are, Jake. 8th in the country this weekend with your 6 for 46.
Doesn't matter what happens else, Jake, for the rest of the season. You're proud of that, aren't you?
Yeah, it's an achievement to say I got a Premier League 5-fer was a goal before the start of the season, regardless of what happened.
Just on Maz Sadat for West Taunton in the GMCL against Egerton, he's a young Pakistani overseas who's come over this year. I think he's something like 18, 19 potentially. So, and he's only just arrived. So to start with 7 for 18 in I think it's his 3rd Premier League game is a great performance for him.
Hey, once again, thanks for your time, Matt. And what we'll do is, as always, we'll put some names out there on Twitter this week in our Cricket Performance of the Week. We want to find out who we want to be, who we think should be the Premier League Performer of the Week. It was quite an interesting poll last week because it went all one way until a couple of other teams realised that they needed to bloody vote in the first place. So let's make sure that happens. But last week it was a Cricket player. It may be a Cricket player this week as well. Hey, Matt.
Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time, Matt.
All right. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
Looking at those bowling stats, Jake, I've got to ask you, and for those of you who haven't seen Jake bowl, check out some video of Long Sutton at some. There'll be a club out there you'll be able to watch some. You've got I'm going to class a slightly unusual action, Jake, haven't you? Who did you base your bowling on from a young age?
I think the comments about my action have kind of come a little bit kind of into the forefront in this year. It's never been something that to me has been particularly kind of uncommon, but I appreciate that's probably a case of that you had to be playing against me to have watched it. Even now watching it myself, obviously over the last couple of years with the invent of streaming and stuff, you do think, where's that left arm going? But yes. But it's as a kid, obviously, as being a mid '90s kid, kind of growing up in cricket, kind of early 2000s, Mr. Warren was an idol for certain as a leg spinner.
Yeah,
so there's a little bit of there, but ultimately it's just whatever feels natural, to be honest.
Absolutely, that any coach would say that exactly the same. If you're putting it in the right place and you're doing the right thing, as long as you're not hurting yourself, it's working, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. As I say, it's been a developing process. It's probably not the same action that I had when I was sort of 11, 12, 13, but now it's pretty repeatable. It's still a leg spinner, so it still means you're going to get a drag down or a full toss every now and again, but hopefully can land more than your fair share.
At what age did you think, I've got this nailed, within reason, obviously, it's by far the hardest form of bowling. Lots of people can bowl leg spin, 1 in 6, 2 in 6, but very few people can bowl it consistently.
Yeah, that's it. I think as a kid, obviously, when you first get taught how to bowl, you kind of try and bowl seam up. And I think, ironically, my original coach kind of pulled me onto leg spin because I was bowling a googly by accident as a seamer, and then kind of just got to the point where it said, well, actually, you've got the ability to turn the ball, which is ironic now, and I'm sure my teammates will be laughing when they hear this. But actually, now it's very much a case of just landing it in the right area, bit of natural variation, big turn on slow turning tracks. But other than that, there's probably my greatest attribute is the control. I think now, is trying not to go for too many runs and then just build some pressure that way. And then you get Saturday where if you go to hand and you start to get on top a little bit.
Are you bowling many variations? Is that something you do, or do you just consistently go for one sort of style?
Yeah, very, very, very boring. Just changes in pace and flight and kind of angle on the crease. Nothing more than that, really. I'm not going to try and claim on the big variations, googlies, flippers, all that sort of stuff, because I'd be lying, and the teammates would certainly agree with my comment.
Most definitely. Hey, let's get stuck into another league, Hugh, and let's just go not too far down the road from Lincolnshire to what I believe is one of, if not the closest leagues in the country, the East Anglian Premier Cricket League. So go back to last season, and Swarderston won the league with Sawston and Babraham coming second. Almost relegated last year were Horsford. But look at the top six now, and there is only 19 points covering Copdock and Old Ipswichian at the top, down to Swarderston, last year's champions, in 6th place. There's a big gap then down to 7th, which is Great Witchingham. But that top 6 are all within a game of each other, and there's not many leagues around looking like that. So what was happening there at the weekend in East Anglia, Hugh?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've really enjoyed the East Anglia Prem this year. It's been one that every week's been thrown up surprises, teams that you expect to win, lose, and vice versa. Yeah, it's just an interesting league with some really high quality players in it, and a lot of fun. And it's going to go right down to the wire, isn't it? It's you've got Copdock there, who've got knocked over by Swardston in a very, very tight game. I think they've lost by about 5 runs in a close game at the weekend. And it's when you've got those kind of team, fifth place, Swardston in 6th, knocking over the top team, and it just that result has just kept everybody close together. So yeah, really, really fun league. Just at the top of my list, we've got Great Witchingham, who obviously made a lot of signing noise in the winter. Never quite got going, have they? But they've done enough at the moment. But yeah, lost to Horsford there, bowled out for 229, chasing 272. Great Witchingham, James Spellman, 59 for them. And Ethan Metcalf in reply for Horse was 83 off 143, and Callum Metcalf at 51 off 70, and Ryan Findlay 4 for 47. And then Mildenhall got a win again. Is it Ashmanar and Barton? Ashmanar, we'll go with that one.
Ashmanar.
There we go. Thank you very much. 236 all out, Mildenhall. And then a draw, but it was a winning draw for Mildenhall. Jack Pottercrew 61, and I think it's Zach Tribe in reply, 58 off 77. Saffron Walden got bowled out for 178. Bury St Edmunds got it 183 for 2 off 32 overs, so quite a convincing win for them. Nikaithan Radhakrishnan 75 off 55 for Bury St Edmunds. Alex Pearson 55 for Saffron and losing call. And Josh Cantrell 3 for 30 for Bury St Edmunds. He's some players, Josh Cantrell. And then Sawston and Babraham, Frinton on C. Frinton bowled out for 109, and Sawston got it no problem there. Wayne White 74. Swardston Copdock was an exceptionally close game. Both, as I've mentioned that one, both teams bowled out. Swardston 2-2-1 bowled out of their 64 overs, and then Copdock bowled out 5 runs short. Well, six for the win they needed for 216 in the 55th over. Real interesting game there. Jordan Taylor 44, Lewis Denmark 39. So Swardston really sharing the runs around. Saranga Rajaguru 5 for 46, and then Copdock 52 off 33 from Michael Ray to really try and get him home. Sam Arthurton 52 off 94 as well. And then the final game, Witham versus Sudbury. Sudbury 296 for 6, one of the highest scores in the country this weekend. Witham nowhere near it, but held out for the draw. Chris Huntington 37 off 52. And a few other 30s there. Darren Batch, 75. Ben Parker, 72 for Sudbury.
Yeah, looking back at that Swarderston v Copdock game, if I'm reading it rightly, I think there was 2 balls left in the innings for Copdock and Old Ipswichian to get that 6 runs to win. So that really did go down to the wire in the 120 overs that were being bowled in that innings. So, Jake, got to ask you, I mean, the format that you're playing in the Lincolnshire League, is it something that you'd want to continue with, or would you like to see more variation?
I like the consistency. I think we've heard you guys talk about this time and time again. I think it's the consistent format that we like. But then I suppose we've not been exposed to draws and kind of time games for ourselves as players. Obviously, it was in place in the Lincolnshire League probably until maybe 5 years ago. But actually, I quite like the 50 overs, especially for clubs like ourselves that are still kind of village clubs. I suppose for 50 overs, you kind of know where you stand.
Definitely. There has been a little bit of a change around one or two places. We've picked up this weekend, for example, the Northants League. They all played T20 and they're doing it for the next 3 weekends on a Saturday. Do you think that would help availability for some of the Sunday games, for, to move the T20s into the middle of the season like they've done at Northants and they did it at Dorset, in fact, earlier this year?
Well, our 2020s in the Wentworth Cup are played on the bank holiday Monday. So I suppose you've got a similar sort of problem with kind of getting people to be available on a day other than a Saturday. I think for ourselves, we were able to take advantage of that Monday with a few of the school connected people to come and play for us in the Monday games. But actually, with a 12 team league structure, there's only so many Saturdays in the year to kind of accommodate the regular league fixtures. So I suppose if you were going to reduce the numbers, then that may be a solution. I know in previous years when they had 11 teams, they kind of did mimic the Northants style. Yeah.
And I think it's something that we will continue to discuss around the country. It does vary so much. And I think I'm with you in that. I like to know what I'm doing from the start of the season. It's nice and simple in the 50 overs all the way through. But the variation from around the other leagues just seems to be a winner with one or two, Hugh, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like the idea of a bit of a T20 break. Even if it means potentially maybe losing a club or two from a Premier League for some of the larger Premier Leagues. It's a tricky one. But I think, it's a long grind, especially with the weather being as it is, and maybe chucking in a T20 comp that maybe allows a bit of flexibility so that if we do have some bad weather about, then things can maybe be shifted. Maybe you could have a Saturday, Sunday T20 or something like that. So people aren't bowling, 2 days in a row, 15 overs potentially or 10 overs. I'm that's the one that I quite like a fixed format, but I quite like that maybe a block of T20, whether it's part of a league or whether it's separate as the cups or whatever.
Definitely. Got to ask, Jake, last weekend, I've spoken to a number of captains around the country who all have said exactly the same thing. I saw it locally here as well. Availability last weekend was very, very strange for one or two places. What was it like round your way?
We were okay, actually. I think, as I say, it's just starting to get into that point where we're getting to the end of school periods. So then I suppose you then get people that are trying to avoid those school periods and therefore going to take a few weeks off before the prices go up, I suppose. We were okay personally, but again, we know that second half of the season we were always going to be stronger availability-wise anyway, so you kind of get used to it as a captain.
Definitely. Hey, let's get stuck into another league and let's go down to the south coast of sunny Sussex, shall we, Hugh? Yep. Where last year's champions Cuckfield are leading the way still at the top of the Sussex Premier League. Second place last year were Preston Nomads. They're in second place this year. There's a bit of sort of similarities going on down there. Bognor Regis, who almost went down last year, are doing far better. They're in fifth place this year and looking comfortable to not only stay up but push higher. The two clubs who came up into the Sussex League, Hastings, St Leonard's and Worthing, unfortunately down in 8th and 10th place. And in particular, Worthing are now, they're almost 55, 60 points behind. They're starting to really struggle at the bottom end of that league to escape relegation. So what have we seen in the results down there at the weekend, Hugh?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fairly low-scoring affair in everything, every department except the one game, Middleton, Three Bridges, Harry Hovey 100 for Middleton in there, 248, and Three Bridges knocked it off one down. Matt Boyle, 106 not out, James Russell, 98. And Scott Lenham, 37 not out. And Matt Boyle also chipping in with 454 as well. So he had a weekend. So that was the sort of the lopsided high scoring game. But all the rest, we're looking at 100 plays, 100, 176 plays, 174, 139 plays, 142, 148 plays, 147. So yeah, whether the pitches were hard work, I'm not sure why it seems a bit of an oddity that. But yeah, so I'll start at...
Can I just point out that innings from Matt Boyle of 106, together with James Russell opening the innings, they put on 184 off 27 overs. How dispiriting for a bowling side is to see that when you've already put 250 on the board.
Not good. Yeah, it depends on. I think the worst is when it's a really hot day. So it wasn't a really hot day. So
at least it was cool.
Yeah, at least you're not sitting there, 35 degrees and you're sweating away and the ball's just going to all parts.
Absolutely.
And you're just chasing. That's one of the reasons I'm a wicketkeeper, because I stand there and I just get friendly with the batsman at that point. Yeah, so we'll see. Cuckfield, Worthing 147, and Cuckfield got it 1 down in 14 overs. So that was quick work there. Hastings, Bognor Regis. So Bognor touched on there. Hastings bowled out for 139 and Bognor got it none down. Ryan Maskell 102 off 54 balls. So there's been some quick chases for limited wickets in the Sussex League this weekend. East Grinstead, Preston Nomads bowled out for 174. East Grinstead took a long time to get there, but they did. 53 overs for them. Tom Hinley, 60 off 94 to help them get home.
I think that's the notable one there. Tom's gone back home post-university, it looks like, and he's back down at East Grinstead, having played in the Nottinghamshire League a little bit this year, and taken them, beating Preston Nomads, who are second in the league, and East Grinstead are second at the bottom. Yeah. Tom took 5 for 31, as well as scoring those runs, made a big difference to them.
It's a great performance from him. Roffey versus Horsham. Roffey bowled out for 108. Horsham got him 3 down again pretty quickly. So there's been some early finishes. And then obviously the Middleton game at the end. It's a bit of a lopsided weekend in the Sussex League.
Yeah, definitely. And the one thing that league didn't deliver this weekend, which is what I know that our friend Jake's always looking at, is big runs and big wickets for everyone on the back of your other sideline, shall we call it, which is a really good sideline. You're founder and creator of Runs for Research, Jake. Yeah. How's it going this year in comparison to previous years?
So we're slightly down on numbers. As I sit here today, we've got just over 710 players across the country involved, whereas last year was just under 900. But I think in reality, just having a decent player base is more than enough for me. If they're scoring runs and taking wickets, and hopefully there's more good players that are scoring bigger runs and taking more wickets that will make up for it.
Is it possible to get sacked from Runs for Research if you're having a couple of bad seasons to say, sorry mate, you're just not worth our time? Is that are you there at the end of the season, just your cut?
If that was the case, I think some of my teammates might have already been kind of shown the door. but no, it's and the analogy I always use, and obviously I know we're talking Premier League cricket here, and I've used it on various kind of conversations with people, is that every run is worth 5p, every wicket is worth 50p, whether you're playing Division 15 or whether you're playing ECB Premier League. That's the way I look at it ultimately.
Have you managed to get any pro players involved over the years? Anybody in the Championship or anything putting up some Runs for Research?
Not necessarily kind of played massive domestic cricket kind of at county championship level. We've had a couple that have played. The names that you probably would know would be Bertie Foreman, that played at Preston Nomads in the league we've just mentioned. I think he's at Horsham now. He was involved for a couple of seasons. He's obviously played England in the 19s and Sussex in the white ball stuff. And then we've had some pros kind of on the women's side as well that have played one of the white balls areas in the 2020 and the 50 over in the Charlotte Edwards and the Rachel Hay Oakland.
Is that something you'd be looking to progress, or are you happy with dealing with keeping it at a club cricket level, or would you like to push it into the pro game?
I don't mind ultimately. I think it's more all for the exposure really. It'd be great to get some pro players involved to kind of then spread the word to the wider community. Ultimately, I think it's a real target to kind of keep it building and just keep raising the money.
So, and how long have you been running it for now?
This is the fourth season, and we've raised north of £34,000 across the 4 years for Alzheimer's Research UK.
It's something that I've been aware of for a few years. So you've certainly done a fantastic job just getting the word out there amongst club cricket. But not I've not sort of signed up myself and feeling very guilty about it.
Hey, we've signed up as a podcast though, haven't we, Hugh? So
Ian, you don't get any runs.
I don't get any runs, no. But we're back in the top batter in the Premier League in the country, the top bowler, and the top all-rounder based upon Jake's format, not our format. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to provide a good chunk, a bit like our friend Mr. Maximo did earlier this season when he did a one-off for you guys as well. The money goes a long way to Alzheimer's Research. It's big numbers that we're giving in every year there, isn't it, Jake?
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, I think our target this year is to try and get over that that £50,000 barrier, say just over 34,000 at the minute, and kind of based on kind of external donations, player donations, and other bits and pieces that's going on over the next kind of 2 or 3 months as the season comes to an end. We hope to be somewhere around about that 50k mark in September, October, towards the closing deadlines at the end of the year.
Fantastic.
And let's give a shout out while we can. Who are the top performers, batting and bowling, right now on Runs for Research? Have you got that to hand?
Yeah, I can get that up. So these will be the data as of last week, on the basis that we won't have done our update as of yet. So in terms of kind of, we've got a couple of players so far that are already at a donation of more than £60. A lad called James Lord that plays at Burley Park in our feeder league, and he's played some games for us this year, ironically, as well. And then another young lad in the Warwickshire area, Brian Muda-League, who again has got nearly 50 wickets in July. Obviously, the proviso here is they're playing some school cricket, they're playing some junior cricket, they're playing some county age group cricket, to obviously to boost their numbers. And I'm sure there's some parents that are maybe regretting signing the child up because they're gonna have to have a big donation at the end of the year. But then the name that's probably most familiar to the Premier League cricket show audience would be the guy at number 3 is Max Trafinos from Bedminster, 571 runs and 31 wickets with a donation of just over £44 so far, as we kind of get towards the halfway mark. Good on him.
Fantastic. It's one area that there's one area you could potentially, into the youth cricket, people sign up their kids and things for these things, but actually the amount of games some of these kids play, and if we're including pairs cricket as well, you could get some very, very big bills arriving at certain parents' households. I've seen 1,500, 2,000 runs when we've been looking at young lads playing across multiple age groups. So yeah, there's a big growth area there. And
this is it. We had 2 players that fit that bill last year that scored 2,000 runs. So again, you're looking at 2,000 runs is a £100 donation on its own.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I think most parents, if they're young lad or lady has got 2,000 runs, they'd probably be pretty chuffed with that. So they're quite pleased to be coughing up £100.
Exactly. Providing the parents are aware, then no issue whatsoever. I think it's the ones that it's the kids that sign themselves up and then kind of don't quite know what they've got themselves into, and then the parent isn't particularly kind of keen on doing it because they weren't involved. But that doesn't happen too often. But hopefully, again, we can kind of wheedle those out a little bit and kind of stick with the committee guys and girls.
Very good.
Let's just run through a couple of quick leagues as well now, Hugh. We'll have a quick look at 2 leagues that had a bit of problem, I think, with the weather. We'll start with the Greater Manchester League very quickly. Run through what was going on there. We've got Edgeworth leading the way at the moment, who came second last year, actually. And the team that won the league, Roe Green, are directly behind them in second place themselves. So top 2, not quite running away with it, although Hugh's bound to make a comment on the point system in the Greater Manchester League.
Well, I can never figure it out, so I've just given up. Yep.
There you go. But they're sort of running away from Edgerton at the moment. The guys at the bottom, Woodbank, are a little bit of strand there. They're 10 points away from West Horton and Bradshaw, who both came up last year. But there wasn't a lot going on because of the weather there at the weekend. Was there anything that stood out for you, Hugh?
A few bits and pieces, but yeah, I think we've got Duckworth Lewis in play quite a bit, and it always makes things difficult for me when Duckworth Lewis is happening. It's difficult to pick up the state of games and things without going into lots of detail. But yeah, we've got Edgeworth had a revised target of 123 and got it very easily against Woodbank. So they got the win there. Flixton, Roe Green. Flixton had a revised target of 179, but Roe Green were easily able to hang on to that. So it's a big win there for them. West Horton, Edgerton, 108 for 9. Edgerton against West Horton in that one. And that was another revised target. They did 158 off 36 and didn't get close. Matt Morris 51 for West Horton there. Bradshaw Flowery Field, one of my favourite club names. I really hope it is a Flowery Field. I'd be disappointed if it's not. But yeah, that was another revised target. They needed 173 off 40 and got there. So Flowery Field won that one, 7 down. And then Shaw and Heaton bowled out for 150, and Shaw with a revised target of 134 from 36 were 57 6 for 3 when the game was abandoned. So yeah, a bit of a letdown there.
Absolutely. Hey, before we finish off this week and go through our final league, which will be the Southern Premier League, just talk to us, Jake, about what else is going on this year for Runs for Research in terms of raising funds. I know you've got a big start to the outside stuff when it comes on Wednesday.
Yeah, so we're going to be playing 3 Runs for Research fixtures up and down the country. The first of which is going to take place on Wednesday, the 3rd, at Burley Park as part of their cricket week. We don't tend to use the fixtures as a huge kind of money raising scheme, because ultimately we want the fundamentals of kind of a player scoring their runs and taking their wickets to be the main component of that. But it's just nice to get some people together, because ultimately, as with you guys, they're people from up and down the country that don't tend to meet. So we use it as a bit of a social event, just kind of getting all the players together and just generally representing a new team. So that game's taking place on Wednesday. We've then got a game up in Shelley in Yorkshire in August, before we then return to Salisbury Athletic in Hampshire in the second week in September for our third and final game of 2024. But again, yeah, just a rich...
Salisbury being one of your biggest supporters, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Salisbury for 3 of the 4 years have led our participation numbers, kind of getting between 25 and 30 players to participate in Runs for Research, and they've actually got more than 40 this year, which is a real incredible effort.
Wow. And this week, the team, just tell us where they're all coming from. Give us an idea of how far people are coming from to play over at Burley Park.
Actually, the squad this time is pretty well local to the area. We've got a couple coming down, one guy coming down from Royton up in the north west, another guy that plays in the Bradford League, in the top tiers of the Bradford League. Another guy coming from Staffordshire. Players that I've come up against in the local area, really. I think probably it being a midweek kind of day game fixture has prevented a few from travelling, and then one other coming up from London as well. But yeah, the weekend games towards the back end of the season will bring players together from all around the country. Obviously, just trying to spread the location a little bit from Burley in the central to kind of Shelley in the north and Salisbury very much in the south.
And did you ask Burley Park if you could put a team in their sixes as well?
As Long Sutton Cricket Club, I've been pestering them for a number of years to get involved, and I suspect we're relatively high on the waiting list, I would say, at the minute. I haven't been on it for a few years, but again, with a few appearances this week, I can hopefully keep putting our name towards it. But yeah, a very prestigious competition that kind of, that's a very, very good cricket on show.
Absolutely. I spoke to Matty Mills at the weekend before he played for Lincolnshire, and he was pointing out that there could be a couple of thousand there on Friday night for the finals of the Sixes competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a brilliant event, and hopefully the weather holds and we can do. You know, I'll be down there on the day, just kind of spectating rather than any sort of participation, but it's an annual event in the calendar.
Definitely. Hey, let's look at that last league for the week, Hugh. Let's jump into the Southern Premier League. So last year's winners, Burridge, are in 4th place currently. South Wilts, who came second, are in 2nd place. But running at the top at the moment are Bashley. Down the bottom end, Alton, who almost went down, are 2nd from bottom, and Basingstoke, who actually came up last year, they're in 3rd from bottom. Bit of a topsy-turvy league at the moment, really, isn't it, I think?
Well, Bashley got a big win against 3rd from bottom Basingstoke. They put up 277. Basingstoke bowled out for 217. It was a good effort chasing there, but Ben Walker for Bashley, 98 off 155, and Jacob Gordon with 4 for 51. Alex Boville, who's popped up a few times recently, 55 off 102. And then, just going from the top, we've got Alton easily beats Bournemouth after bowling Bournemouth out for 139 and then knocking him off 1 down in 20 overs. Daniel Harris, 73. Aidan Meyer for Bournemouth, 87. So it's a hell of an effort in a very low-scoring effort for them.
Yeah, Aidan looks to be starting to motor through now. He's there overseas at Bournemouth.
South African. We've got Havants bowled out for 193. Against Lymington. Lymington got it 5 down. Havant with Richard Handley, 84 off 124, and Mohammed Abbas, 83 off 110 in reply for Lymington. Gareth Berg, 552 there as well. South Wilts, Hampshire Academy. The Hampshire Academy were knocked over for 180, and South Wilts got it 3 down. Tom Cheetah, 49, Harry Broderick, 45. And then Finn Gordon in reply for Hampshire Academy with 61 and a few other scores there. But yeah, not a great day for the Hampshire Academy. And then St. Cross Simodians and Burridge. St Cross bowled out for 152. And then Burridge got it 9 down. So, Gareth Schroeder, 40 from 31. And Kevin Pluke, 4 for 48 for them. And then Burridge, Joe Collings Wells, 46 from 47. And Inyat Ullah, 5 for 40.
One of those weekends where, a bit topsy-turvy around the country, some, as you said, quite a lot of lopsided games, and purely, let's be honest, lopsided because the weather's been lopsided, from the glorious weather we had a couple of weeks ago to, shall we call it, a normal sunshine, and me and you are both wearing hoodies again today. Hey, Hugh.
I had my hat on earlier.
Absolutely. Hey, Jake, been great talking this week, mate, and we said we'd get in touch halfway through the season. Fingers crossed, you're looking forward to the second half now with Long Sutton, and let's be honest, a little bit more positive, mate.
Absolutely. The results will turn. Hopefully get that first win over the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then we can be rolling again.
Great to join us, mate. Good luck with Runs for Research as well this season. Fingers crossed to breaking records again. It's been a phenomenal success, and it's a cause close to my heart as well, and hence why I'm proud to actually back you guys with it, definitely. So thanks for your time, and look forward to catch up with you soon. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Cheers now. Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the Cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.